So I'm here to publicly apologize for my kids on the Spirit Airlines flight last night. They were a handful. My almost 18-month-old cried. My 5-year-old began the flight by kicking the seat of the person in front of him, and he just couldn't stop, so I actually had to move seats and switch with him. And my 4-year-old was pretty content for the first 2 hours to just play games and do art and stuff like that. But then he didn't have a good time either. He wasn't crying, but he was extremely fidgety and he just wanted to be gone. Eventually I just caved and bought him the Wi-Fi, but then it really didn't work. So I had to figure that out. But hey, kudos to my 9-year-old who watched E.T. and then built a roller coaster in Minecraft. You know what's interesting though is that when we walked off the plane and my 18-month-old was finally asleep on my chest, not a single person said that she was a good baby. Compare that to 10 days before when everybody said that she was such a good baby walking off the plane. Because on that flight, she slept for the entire time. Woke up as we were coming down. But on this flight, my kids were extremely dysregulated. Not because they were hungry, we fed them. Not because they didn't have enough to do, we had tons of stuff for them to do. But because some flight attendant was an hour plus late to work, and maybe it wasn't even their fault, maybe they were the sub that was called in when somebody else didn't show up, the whole plane was delayed over an hour. And so instead of landing, just around bedtime, which we probably could have managed all this stuff, bedtime happened an hour and a half into the flight. Also, after they had been sitting in front of a closed gate sign that they kept telling us, we're going to board any minute, and then we're going to board really fast for over an hour. So we had to, use a lot of our tricks already. Now, on the way there, the flight had also been delayed, over 2 hours because the plane wasn't there for some reason. But thankfully they knew that. So we just got to the airport later. And we were sort of able to fudge nap and push it back an hour because of the forewarning so that she slept most of the flight. But all of this to say, the best laid plans, right? Parenting is not always in your control. You can be a person who has all of the brain hacks and all of the stuff and all of the preparation and all of the experience, and it doesn't always work out. And also just be gracious to parents out there in the world. I know for a fact that my daughter cried less than 3 total minutes on the plane. None of my other kids were screaming or melting down. They were just bored. And yet there were a lot of people who seemed to have issues with that. And I'm just whatever, right? It's just whatever you can do. So yes, formal apology to anybody who was annoyed by my kids. You were not as annoyed as I was at the delay.